What's up, Metal Summoners? It is Wednesday night. So happy to have you guys back on with us and live. We are super duper stoked. Your Islet of Misfit Toys is back in the house with the Psycho Steve, with Bobby Dreyer, with Angel Alamo, and I'm Jay. One quick moment of gratitude before we bring on our guest. I didn't get a chance to address this earlier. On the last week's episode, but I did want to take a second to thank Troy and Shannon and Villain Arts for inviting me out 2 weeks ago to the Baltimore Tattoo Convention. It was a whole lot of fun. I got to just wander around, go shopping, check out all these amazing artists, and also actually got to watch one of my favorite artists perform, who's local to Baltimore, whose name is Raquel Bombshell. And that was really, really cool to see her. And also on Sunday, me and Brad Lee got to go to it together and have a little bit of a bro time that we hadn't gotten to really do in a while. So we got to wander around and shop and have like a good time there. So thank you, Troy and Shannon and Villain Arts, for being so kind and hospitable, for having me out. So that was super duper awesome to enjoy. And so again, thank you to them, but also thank you, Metal Summoners, for again tuning in with us this week, as always, which means if you guys have been with us for a little while, you are going to know who this guy is, because 2 months ago, we were talking to him on.
And we fucked it up.
On like, no, that was Drew. On like a stripped down level, because that's just simply the way Rockin' Pod is set up because of the amount of podcasts versus the amount of guests. But we have our claws and our grubby little mitts all over him tonight. So Martin Monik Accept is in the house.
Yes.
You, brother.
Good to be here. Good to see you guys. Unfortunately, just virtually, but it was
yeah.
It was
now.
In Nashville.
Yeah.
Great hanging.
No, definitely, man. But it was great, man. But thanks again for coming back on so we can have like a full episode with you. Because again, the Rockin' Pod stuff is so like, set up like to be as time effective as possible. So we only had you for 15 minutes, but we got to touch base on some cool things. But let's jump right into the most important thing. About a week and a half ago, your Indiegogo ended for your brand new solo album, man. So first off, congratulations, and tell us about it.
Well, I'm just completely overwhelmed by the support I've received. If you go on, I got over $7,000 in contributions by people that want to see that project succeed and getting birthed, so to speak. I mean, the album is done, has been done, but this was now about getting it physically into the world. And my big dream was to put it out on vinyl, and I'll be able to do that now. And I'm just really, really thankful to everybody who helped me. Thank you guys to putting out the word, helping spreading the love and the word, and the support has been overwhelming. So I'm really, really stoked.
That's awesome, man, for sure. So when it comes to this album, I mean, bro, you had a laundry list of contributors involved with this, playing all different kinds of instruments, and whether it's, Greg Bissonette on drums, and, Joe Satriani was involved. So talk a little bit about what your plan was for that, as opposed to having, like a solo album where you're the focus, or you're playing all the instruments, or you have a band per se, which is a little bit more the traditional standard. You had so many contributions from like your friends and peers. So what was your plan behind doing it that way?
So I made an album a few years ago with Greg Bissonette on drums, and that concept was only to play basically all the songs just with bass guitars on top of some world-class drum tracks. And I found out that Greg was actually offering to record remotely. I was back then still living in Germany, and of course I've known the name Greg Bissonette since the mid '80s, because the first David Lee Roth albums were basically what I started practicing bass with. Billy Sheehan is my big idol, so the Steve Vai, Billy Sheehan, and Greg Bissonette were just a dream team of musicians. So that's what I studied when I started out playing bass. And then I got that idea to make a solo album, kind of like showcase what I want to do with the bass guitar. And then I had the idea of okay, let's see who would be available as a drummer, because I love great drumming. I'm a big fan of fantastic drummers as a bass player. And so I looked at different options, and then all of a sudden, over the internet, I saw that Greg would be available for a virtual recording session. So I got in touch with him, and I was amazed that he agreed to do it. And so we made this album. Back then, it was 2005, and so he recorded the drums. I played all the bass tracks on it, and that was the album. But then there were two songs where I thought I should kind of spice it up a little bit. And at that time, I found out about Matthias Eklund, who's an amazing guitar player from Sweden. He's got this band Free Kitchen. He is an amazing solo artist. He's on Steve Vai's label, Favored Nations, as a solo artist. And he was giving a clinic at Musikmesse in Germany, which is basically the equivalent to the NAMM show in Germany. And he was done, and I approached him, and I said, hey, I'd love to have you in a couple of songs. He was like, let's do it. And I sent him the tracks to Sweden. He sent it back. It was amazing. He played a solo on the first song, and then we made kind of like a, no, not kind of like, it was a cover version of Rush's YYZ, or YYZ, as they call it. And that turned out really cool. And then actually Greg told me later that Neil Peart came to stay at his house, and he played him our version, and apparently he liked it. So it's kind of like we got a Rush approved version of that song. That's my little claim to fame. Anyway, so that was that, and that solo album was it wasn't really having the success that I thought it was. I was hoping it was going to have. I was hoping to get a little bit more studio work out of it and get my name a little bit out there as a gun for hire, so to speak. But what I didn't think about was that nobody's going to hire a bass player who just plays all the instruments or all the melody lines. They'd be like, he overplays. We don't need that guy.
Yeah.
So that didn't really work out for me in that regard, but it helped me out in lots of other ways. I got some cool press. I got some coverage. Actually, because I had my album in a magazine, a friend who's a bass player of mine, who's a bass player that way, heard about it, and then he was supposed to tour with Uli John Roth from the Scorpions. He couldn't do it, but because he knew of me, he recommended me, and this is how I ended up doing 3 tours with Uli John Roth. And so that was amazing. So that album helped me in that regard. And then skip ahead, because I played with Uli John Roth, that kind of also gave me a shoe in with Accept, because Wolf Hoffman is a big Uli John Roth fan. So I caught his attention. Anyway, that's a long prequel to your actual question, but the album that I did now basically had the same thought, or the same concept, but this time I thought, well, I really liked having Matthias play a solo on this one song. But what if I had a different artist on each of the songs? So I wanted to have, again, some world-class drumming on it. So I had Greg Bissonette again. So I knew a couple of other guys that I wanted to have on there, like Christopher Williams from Accept, my bandmate. He played on a few songs, and he's amazing on so many different styles. So he's actually on quite a few different styles of songs, not just metal, but like there's a blues on it, there's a ballad on it. So, and he really shines. Then there's Walfredo Reyes Jr., who plays with Chicago now. He was a drummer for Carlos Santana. He played with Steve Winwood. I jammed with him years ago. And Joe Babiak, who was Michelangelo Patillo's drummer for many years. So the drummers are all really close friends of mine. So that was amazing that they all agreed to participate. But then I was like, okay, I would love to have I'm just going to say, I wanted to have a big name on each song playing a guest solo. That was just the goal. And so I started with, who could I ask first? So Matthias was, of course, one of my first questions. Then Wolf Hoffman, my boss, lead guitarist of Accept. He was there.
We love Wolf.
Yeah. I had talked to Jennifer Batten, who played with Michael Jackson and Jeff Beck. I met her at NAMM a few years ago. She agreed to participate, and then Greg actually helped me to get in touch with Andy Timmons. Andy Timmons is another guy who I really admire for many, many years. As an amazing solo artist, known him since Danger Danger. Then he was actually the musical director for Olivia Newton-John.
Yes,
right. We wouldn't think, but
40 years of physical today.
Right?
Yes.
So he did an amazing job there. And then
40 years?
40.
40.
Yeah. Come on, Steve. Put your goddamn leggings on. Let's get physical. Why should take the gay guy to learn this?
I got chills.
And they're multiplying.
Right. So he came, he partook, and then I was like, man, Joe Satriani would be amazing. And I was like, I'm not sure if I can get him, but I was able to get in touch with his manager, Mick Brigden, who unfortunately just passed away not too long ago. He was actually the road manager for the Rolling Stones for many years. He's a real legend in the industry, and it's really tragic that just not too long ago he passed away. So I was talking to him. I was in touch with him, and he got me in touch with Joe. And so that's definitely an amazing highlight to have Joe Satriani on a song of mine with Christopher Williams on drums. So that's just
nice.
Insane. And then I got in touch with Frank Gambale, Chick Corea's drummer, also another legendary guitar player who I've seen just shortly after I moved to the States in 2008 at a jazz club in LA. And so each one of those musicians I have a personal story with, but all people I just so admire and respect, and it was like it would be a dream to play with them, and that was basically also the inspiration for the title of the album, which I then decided to call it Dream Chaser, because I just realized, that's what I was doing, and here we are.
No, that's awesome, dude. Because you're really just scratching the surface of the talent that you had involved. I mean, you Derek Sherinian and Bruce Kulick and Trev Lukather. I mean, I'm just going to cut it off there to spread it around a little bit, but we'll definitely touch base on those guys as well. But it's really, really amazing. So fans, we're going to start you guys right off. Like, make sure that you keep watching Martin and everything, because the Indiegogo's over now, but he said that he's going to be pressing it out on vinyl, and so make sure that you guys definitely support him, because we also need to get him out on tour when he's not doing the tour with Accept. So that would be definitely super duper awesome for sure. But Psycho Steve, let's kick it up to you, brother.
Well, thank you. So welcome back. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you, man. So the question is, as far as with all the people that you collaborated on this CD, if you do go on tour, how are you going to find people of that caliber? Or are you just going to tell, hey, that's all there is? Like, how do you, because look who you got on there. Like you said, Derek Sherinian, Trev Luther, you got all these people, and they're incredible, as you are. But, how do you expect to get people to emulate what they did unless you're going to bring some of them on the road with you?
Yeah, it'd be amazing to get them on the road, but I don't think. Let's be realistic. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I think I hadn't really thought about like performing it live. I had talked about some bass players. I would need like at least 2 or 3 more bass players on stage to cover all the different tracks, and then on top of that, at least a drummer of a caliber of a Greg or a Christopher or a Joe or Wally to perform those tracks. And then the solos would have to be, performed by either somebody who can cover all these styles. So I know it would be amazing, but the question is it feasible? So I think what's more realistic is that, because next year our calendar, the way it looks right now, luckily, is we'll be on the road with Accept a lot.
Excellent.
So the tour is going to start. It's going to kick off in January in Europe. First of all, we have three more shows in the United States coming up. We have San Antonio, Texas in November 5th. And then we have 2 shows in New York State beginning of December.
Yeah, one in Long Island. I know that.
Exactly. Yep.
I will be there.
Very good. Looking forward to it. Let's hang.
Absolutely. We'll have a Jaeger.
Or 2.
Okay.
And you
I'm down.
didn't invite me to that one, Steve. Really?
Steve, you bitch.
Yes.
Wow. Hey, Queen, Skinny. Shh. It's my turn to shine. Continue. Go ahead.
Oh.
So, all right, awesome. So
just to answer your question, what I was thinking about, and then in the summer we have these festivals, but the festivals are going to be basically on the weekend. So during the week we're going to have a lot of time. So I had already started talking to Christopher to maybe consider doing some drum and bass workshops, where we kind of like go like into local music stores and where we're staying that time, and kind of like talk about how you work together as a rhythm section in a rock and metal band, and then also play some of the songs from the album and kind of like dissect those a little bit, and how we play together in that context. So between that and how we play together at Accept, I think that's the most realistic way to get that basically perform it live on stage.
sweet.
Nice.
That's very awesome. Because if you need help, I will get you in touch with the people at GC.
Oh, there you go. Excellent. Yeah, I've done a clinic at the Vegas Guitar Center
Cool.
years ago. Similar concept with a friend of mine back then in Vegas who I played with a lot. Peter Dallas is his name. So we did a drum and bass workshop over there, and that's basically where I got the idea of like, hey, we should take this on the road and do that in different cities around Europe and wherever we're playing.
Right on.
Nice, man. Very cool for sure. Baby Blue, Bobby Dreyer, let's bring you in, bro.
So I'm going to go a couple things right now. One, your website that you have, which is studiobasis.com, which I just threw my info out there because I love working with everybody and anybody. And I worked with Bobby Rock, who played with, who's on the road now with Lita, Neil Zaza, Earl Slick. But I see that you're basically, I don't want to use the word. Well, okay, I will use the word. You're whoring yourself out there going, yeah, look, I play bass. Here I am.
Hey,
so,
man's got to eat.
Tell me about, tell us about the website. Let's go on this.
The website started when my car broke down. I was living in LA. I just moved to LA. I was just thinking about like trying to get my hooks into that city. And I was on my way to San Diego to watch a soccer game with a friend of mine. And then I was in the middle of I-10, and my car just died in the middle of the freeway. I couldn't go. I had to have it towed. The whole weekend was shot basically, and that's when I decided, you know what, got to use that time productively. So I'm going to start a website offering bass tracks online, and so I looked for bass domain names, and then to my I was astounded to find out that the name studiobassist.com was available. And so I was like, let me grab that. And then over the course of that weekend, I basically programmed that website and took it online, and that's what I do. So it was always a goal of mine to become a studio musician. That was because I had always had the highest respect for people like that can just go into the studio and you give them anything and they can play whatever. And that was for me always the pinnacle of musicianship. And I wanted to be a guy like that. So I like Steve Lukather, for instance, is big.
We love Daddy Luke.
Right, exactly. And or Greg Bissonette, who I was able to watch live when he was recording the tracks for my album, and we were actually communicating just like that over via Zoom, and I was able to like give immediate feedback, which you don't really have to. Whatever you place is just awesome, but it's just always good to kind of like give immediate feedback or like discuss like what do you want or stuff. So technology really made it happen, and that was a good thing for me with that website as well. I was just all of a sudden the whole world basically was my market to offer.
That's great, because I look at what you're doing right now with that, Martin, and Pete Thorne, who's another guy who's and I never want to use the word underrated, but Pete is kind of Phil X, Phil, who's playing with Tesla. You guys are like a machine that are back there. And it's great that you're doing this because you make it accessible for artists like myself who want to use quality, talented musicians other than using tracks on their product.
Right. And then that's why I'm so thankful for the internet, because that it really made it possible for us to have people like that available, because that's the same way how I work with all the musicians that are on my album. It's everything was remotely recorded and communicated, and just you exchange files, and it's just awesome that it's possible the way it is. And now with like live streaming, it's even easier. But I really enjoy it, man. I've played with people from all over the world, from Japan, India, lots in Europe, United States, Australia, Brazil, Argentina. It's just you and you get all these different musical styles, and which I love as well. I love music in different genres to listen and to play. And
so Martin, let me ask you this real quick. So I know you have your website. We'll put the link up there. But how do they contact you directly through the website if they say, hey, look, I'm working on this, I'm working on a song? Do they connect with you there and say, let's collaborate?
That's usually how it works. Yeah, you get an email. I have a link on there or a contact form, and people just reach out and say, hey, this is what I'm working on. So for instance, I just finished recording a track for a band in the Czech Republic, and they knew Accept, so that's like how should I call it? What's the opposite of a double whammy? It's like a double.
A reach around?
Yeah, right. Reason? I don't know. Anyway, so they were already like, oh, you're a great bass player, but we're also huge fans of Accept, so they were like super happy.
Well, it's great because, I mean, there are so many things out there, but it's great being able to connect with you, and I love it because I love that your website is out there. We'll put it on our link. We'll share it with the crowd. Not just that your music, but I love that people can go, wow, we can get a great musician to work on a product, collaborate, and get influence from yourself. I mean, look, you've worked with Accept and everybody else, and this is, tremendous for people to know about.
Well, thanks for sharing it. I always offer, like, I really gotten into the habit to send people like 2 or even 3 different variations of what I play, because that's the only downside when you do it remotely. Like when you go into a studio and you have an engineer and ideally even a producer sitting there, you get the song, you chart it out, and then you start playing, and then you get immediate feedback if they like it or not, if it fits or not. Sometimes when you're sitting by yourself and you're recording and you're doing the engineering part, but then you're also doing kind of like the producing part, arranging part, you sometimes don't know what people
Let me ask you this real quick, Martin. So when people contact you through your website on this, Do you establish a relationship first? Do you sit there and try to really digest what they're going for? Because you're, um, look, there's a lot of people who play an instrument, but you are very passionate what you do. So do you try to connect and really interject yourself into their project?
Well, I'm still a bass player, so I'm a supportive instrument, and that's how I always saw myself. It's like my goal is to make other people sound better. So I don't try to be like the center of attention. I just try to be like as supportive and as strong of a foundation as possible. It's been really good that usually people that approach me, for lack of a better word, have their shit together. So whatever I get usually has a quality standard, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be ashamed to put my name on that, which sometimes could happen.
Sure.
We all heard music like that.
Very cool. Jay, back to you, brother.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, 100%. And that's really, really cool to hear for sure. But Angel, let's bring you back in, brother. How are you doing this evening, and how are the Metal Summoners looking?
I'm doing awesome, and so is everybody. We're all happy it's Wednesday. We're happy to have you, Martin, on the show for a second time. First time was live, which was very fun.
Oh, that's the first time live. Wow.
Well,
Oh, no.
in
Well,
Nashville.
we just meant the first time live where you were right there with us.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sorry. I just feel like I bored.
Oh, listen, should we tell them that I almost fucked up the time zones?
That's okay. We can talk a little bit about that.
Well, we could tell them.
Based in Nashville, and the guys told me, yeah, okay, so it's got to be 9:00 Eastern, so it's 8:00 Central. But I was like, oh wait, I'll be in Florida that day because I have a gig here tomorrow. So that's why this is a hotel room.
Well,
this is how it looks, and usually it looks more like at Bobby's place,
Right.
my place.
Well, Bobby left us. Who knows
and
what
so-
Bobby and Steve are doing?
So we were actually, I was just at the bar with the drummer to play with tomorrow, and they have an open bar. So I was like, hey, free beer.
Nice.
And then I keep looking at the clocks, like, I have time. And then at some point I was like, something feels weird. And I was like, maybe my clock has not, like my iPhone's usually set on automatic, adjust automatically the time zone I'm in, and it wouldn't change. And I was like, our time zone, Chicago. And I asked the bartender, I was like, what time zone are we in? I was like, oh, this is Central. I'm like,
I need my tab.
I gotta go. So
So,
I'll be there in time.
That
brings me-
funny.
so
Like-
that brings me to a good question. When you're touring like Europe,
Yeah.
like for a musician, how is it to keep up with the time zones, all of that stuff? Because I know it must be chaotic for a musician. So how do you have somebody that kind of keeps you, lets you know, hey, we're in this place in this time zone, or how do you?
Yeah, usually
Keep that up.
you have a tour manager with you who tells you like the times. The thing is that most of Europe is the same time zone.
Oh,
So
really?
that's just there's Central European time, which is basically all the like France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Poland, Netherlands, Belgium. They're like, and then there's Portugal and
I love Portugal.
are 1 hour apart, and then when you go east, like Russia, then they're like 1 or 2 hours apart. So, but all of Europe is usually at the same time zone. But yeah, you definitely need somebody who kind of like holds you by the hand and tells, okay, so it's like in 60 minutes, something like that. So communication is key there. So we spend a lot of time. We usually communicate via smartphones, and so the roaming expenses are usually pretty expensive when we're on the road. But that's just how it is. It's part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually we have a babysitter, which is good.
They have one for me. No.
No, you don't have any babysitters, Bobby. You're on your own most of the time.
Well, we kind of have Tony.
Well, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep rolling with it, Angel.
Oh, got one of your fans, Candy. She wants to know I'm a huge fan. I'm going to buy your album.
Hey,
Can
Candy.
you sign it for me?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm gonna have the copies. Probably gonna just ship them out myself, or have somebody like who I can trust to
You
handle
could grab
that.
Steve. You could definitely trust Steve. We all trust Steve.
Well, it all depends.
Except with my car.
Send them to me, Martin.
Yeah.
I'll ship them.
I'm just gonna. I'll be very happy to sign them. I'm not sure if I can get everybody to sign them. That'd be actually my big project, to get like everybody who's on the album. I think that would be require some effort.
That's a project.
Yeah, because they live all over the place. Frank Ambali lives in Barcelona.
I love Frank. Oh my God.
Oh, he's great, and he's so fun too. He's so great to communicate with, and he's funny, and his playing his personality comes out in his playing. I really love that.
So let me ask you. Let me interject right here. You and Joe, drummer, how did you guys wind up connecting?
That was an after-show jam at a NAMM show in LA.
Wow.
2013.
And how do you say Joe's last name? Is it Babiak?
Babiak.
Batjak?
Babiak. Babiak.
Yeah, I've seen him a lot of times, and he's
Yeah.
one of those underrated drummers that
Exactly
will
right.
kick your butt across the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got to be honest, and I told him that too, that I almost feel bad for giving him such easy songs, because his capabilities are just mind blowing. He can play anything, and he's just nailing down. One is kind of like an R&B song. That's the one with Frank Ambali.
Yeah.
That's kind of like just laying down the groove, and then the other one is it's like a mid-tempo song, which does have some signature changes in there. I throw in some 5/4 in between just to keep it interesting, and that's the one with Bruce Kulick on guitar, who played such a amazing, passionate solo. It's wonderful, and but from a drummer's standpoint, it's like, I can play that and have dinner at the same time for a drummer of that caliber. And so I was like, because I had a plan to make a whole album with Joe, which was supposed to be like completely like progressive and just out there, but then this one just took a different turn, and I was like, but he's just an amazing drummer. And it's like how they say when you play bass guitar, you have two areas on the neck. You have the high register,
Yeah.
and then you have the cash register. But within your first 5 frets on the fretboard is where you make your money. And for the drummer, it's the same thing. Just playing the 4/4, just laying it down, being in the pocket, and just being solid and just giving a groove. And he's just perfect at that, and so much more. But so how we met was there was an after show jam at a NAMM show, and Uli John Roth was one of the guys who was playing there, and Michelangelo Batillo was another guy playing there. And so I went there to see Uli play, say hi, and then I watched Michael play, and I was watching the band, and I was like, who's that drummer? That's just insane. Because Michael is just it's just all head music, it's so intricate, but it goes like from one song to the next. There's no break, and it's basically like a 60-minute insane. It's like a drum / guitar / bass solo.
Well, the wonderful thing about Joe is, with playing with Michelangelo Beatty and just everything there, and also with he being a drummer on Sonar, anybody who's a big AC/DC guy, he's rock solid.
Yeah.
But he's such an underrated drummer.
He absolutely is. I agree. So when that show was over, he was sitting at the bar just drinking a beer, and I just had to go up to him. I was like, "Hey man, this sounds really weird," and I'm like, I'm almost a little starstruck. I don't really know who you are, but your drumming just blew me away. And we just started talking, and we developed a friendship that just started at that day, and which is funny because I had just moved to the States, and now he married a German opera singer, and now he lives in Germany. So we swapped countries.
Well, it's really cool. The neat thing about Joe is, if anybody doesn't know, look, I've been friends with Chris Slade for years, but I hear Joe's playing, and he sounds so much like Chris Slade.
Interesting. That's very interesting that you say that. That was actually the first band I was in. It was like when Chris Slade was just in between his two tenors with AC/DC.
Wow.
There was a band they had with Jason Ebbs, who was in the band, and I was just in LA, and then I walked into Guitar Center on Hollywood Boulevard, and then I don't even remember exactly how I found out about, but they were looking for a bass player, and I called him up and auditioned, and then we made an album. Ecotonic is the name of the band, and Slade and I actually recorded live the whole album live, like you used to do it, bass and drums at the same time together.
What a great fucking guy too, Chris.
Oh, so nice.
You meet Chris Slade, it's like he's I sat at a bar with him, and I'm like, there's just something about Chris Slade that there's drummers, there's Chad Smith, there are drummers, but when you meet Chris, you're just like, fuck yeah.
He's just a really nice, amazing human being, and you can just tell he's just been doing it forever. It's just you cannot impress him anymore. If you try to impress him with name dropping or whatever,
no, he just loves being Chris.
Yeah, but he's like, I remember we played a show one night at where was it, like Viper Room or one of the clubs in LA, and then there was this after show party, and everybody was kind of LA, name dropping and trying to impress each other, and Chris and I look at each other and say, "Hey, you want to go next door to that bar and just have a beer?" Let's go. And we just sat down and just chatted and just like two dudes, it's just amazing.
That's great.
That's so cool. Right on, for sure, man. Hey, Angel, let's steer it back up to you, buddy.
Sure, we got a question from Strings. When it's likely for Accept to do a South American tour?
Well, I hope very soon. It was always my dream to come to South America, and then it was finally fulfilled in December 2019 when we played in Santiago de Chile. We played in I say it wrong, Guaraleres, Sao Paulo area. We played in Bogota, and I was like, oh, this is just a start. And when we were supposed to do more, then COVID hit. And I've heard some rumors that hopefully next year we're going to have fill the calendar with that. But nothing's out there officially right now. Everything that's official is on our website, and that is the European tour. And then there's a bunch of festivals in Europe in the summer. So acceptworldwide.com. And as soon as there's anything there, we'll post it. And I really, really hope it's going to happen. So we do want to come back. I know that Wolf wants to come back. Wolf wants to keep doing this for a long time. So we will be on the road.
Awesome.
And we also have a request for Bobby.
Oh. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, I knew it.
I want to see that.
Bobby, can you stand up and do that dance when we're talking about the song Physical?
Oh, let's get physical. With my Laverne and Shirley shirt on?
I love that shirt.
That's awesome.
Sure you did. You have no rhythm. All right, anyway.
I'm white.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to take my gay card away from me.
The most important thing is that you tried.
You tried. You did the best.
I am a trisexual.
Bobby, I was just happy to see you get a Cosmo today of the right color as opposed to the one you got yesterday.
Oh my God, it was so fucking breeder. It was so, I had to send you that. Look, Martin, before you go on, I'm going to tell you one thing from a gay man. This is the thing you need to know. When you order a Cosmo, if it doesn't come on 12-year-old pussy pink, send it back.
Okay, I'll keep it
For
in mind.
saying that,
He is
As if it's
never going to
blood red,
order a
looks like
Cosmo
Gary.
over a beer, Bobby.
He's gonna hold a Cosmo and be like looking at the color.
Yeah, he's going to be looking at it, going like, where? Martin's just going to be like, nah, where's my beer?
That's probably what I'll do. But
Where's Jack Daniels?
we just
Exactly.
we just
So
love our
Martin,
beer.
I'm going to flip this out real quick because I live in Bucks County, right next to the former bass player of Trump. Pete lives right near me.
Okay.
How did that all come about with the transition of Pete Baldus and yourself?
So the way I heard about it was I have a really good friend in California. His name is Jimmy Palmer. He was the guitar tech for Uli John Roth. We toured together. And he also is a big Accept fan. And so in November 2018, Peter just went on social media and basically pronounced his departure from the band. They went online and said it's been a good run, but I'm gonna I don't know exactly how, so I want to misquote him, but he basically said, okay, he's quitting the band. And that very day, my friend called me, told me about it. Have you heard about Accept? Peter Baltus quit the band. And I was like, I haven't heard about it. Okay. And he said, yeah, you'd be perfect for it. And I was like, yeah, they're just waiting for me. And I was like, just as soon as the news are out, you just know that the band is just going to get swamped by bass players from all over the world who want that job. But I was like, well, we hung up and I was like, okay. I mean, well, what do I have to lose? So first of all, I verified if it's true. It was true. I mean, I can trust my friend, but in something like that, you definitely want to double check. And so I saw Peter's tweet, and I was like, oh wow. So I went on the Accept website, looked if there was any sort of contact information, and there was the email address for the manager.
Send them to me.
All right. And stop watching porn.
Seriously.
So
Steve, get off Grinder.
Right.
What
Your
is
girlfriend's going to kill you.
She's not home. Go ahead.
And so I went on the website and I found an email address, and I composed an email in German, and I basically told them, hey, I've just read that Peter decided to leave the band. I'm really sorry to hear that. The band has been like in my musical life forever. So I don't know what you guys' plans are, but if you choose to continue, I would love the opportunity to audition. And then I told him basically who I was. I'm a German bass player, but I live in Nashville because I knew they're based out of Nashville. Our Wolf lives there. Basically, the biggest part of the band lives there now. And I've toured with Uli, who happened to be one of Wolf's big idols or heroes. And I said, I've got 2 passports. I can travel. I'm available. So let me know if I could ever come by or if there's an opportunity. And then I didn't hear for months. So I was like, well, yeah, of course, because they're going to get like everybody in the world to apply. And then at some point I get an email like in the middle of the night saying, hey, Wolf Hoffman, like,
Wow.
Hey, are you available tomorrow for a short phone conversation? I was like, sure, call me anytime. So he called me the next day, and I was like, yeah. So I looked at your stuff, and want to come by and jam? And I was like, of course. And it was really interesting what he says. Like, I know you can play. I saw your YouTube. I have a bunch of stuff in your YouTube. So he's like, I know you can play. It's all good. It's more about how can we get along, about the chemistry, and that's really important when you're in a band and on tour. How do you? It's almost more important than playing. I mean, the playing, of course, is important, but a lot of people can play. But do you get along? And so he said, I will know within 5 minutes. And I was like, yeah, I agree. And then next day I drove over, and then what was supposed to be like just kind of like sniffing each other out ended up like 2 hours of just jamming. And I showed him some stuff that I'm working on. He showed me some stuff. We played Metal Heart and Balls.
Wow.
And we just had a good chemistry. And I think what really helped was like the German personalities kind of like matching up.
Well, I got to say right now, Martin, before I'm going to throw it back to Jay, is your name came up through a good friend of mine, Adam Reaver, who's very close with Wolf. And Adam and I are best friends.
Oh,
and
awesome.
when your name got thrown around on a lot of things, I was just like, and then when I had the chance with the four of us meeting you in Nashville, I have to say I was kind of a little starstruck.
Oh, come on.
I know Pete, and I'm got to commend you. I mean, look, I've been an Accept fan for years, and for you to take that role, dude, rock on. That is.
Thank you so much. Now I know the shoes
amazing.
were so big because I mean I was in bands in the late '80s, early '90s, and they were talking about Wolf Hoffman and Peter Baltus, like the
Oh
unit.
yeah, dude, I fucking get that.
Yeah. So it's sometimes even for me, it's sometimes even right now, kind of like I have to like keep my composure because it's like I'm just a small dude from Germany who basically taught himself how to play bass, and now I'm doing this. I'm like, how the hell did I end up here?
It was like Summer NAMM this year. Adam comes over and brings Wolf over, and Adam comes in, and I've known Adam for years, but when he brings Wolf in, I'm just going, oh yeah, it's Wolf, you know.
Yeah.
And Wolf is sitting there laughing at me, but yeah, I know what you feel like. You feel like almost like a Cinderella story.
Little bit, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But congratulations, we love that, and
thank
you so much for coming on with us.
Oh, guys, I'm honored. I'm just happy to be here, and
telling you, it's a 6 degree of separation. You're going to find out we're so intertwined on a lot of things.
It's a small circle. That's true.
Absolutely.
Jay, back to you, brother.
Totally, brother. Absolutely. I'm about to kick it up to Steve, but Angel, I wanted to steer it back to you one more time so you can get your question in.
I did already.
You got it already? Cool. I wasn't sure if that was a fan question or not, so I just wanted to double check. Psycho Steve, let's kick it to you, my good dude. It is your time.
Okay, so two-part question.
I'm sorry, just one thing. On the bottom of the screen, you can see the tour dates for the remaining of the year.
All right, cool.
Anyway,
hey, now I know why we hired you. Good job.
Psycho Steve.
Okay, back to me. Okay. Interrupt again. I'm going to break your good head. All right. So the question is, with all the people you have played with, who haven't you played with that is like your bucket list person that you'd be like, I need to play with them?
Steve Lukather, Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert.
Okay.
Nice.
So you played with Trevor.
Yep.
All you have to do is, hey, text Dad. By the way, he was a guest of our show.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it was the other way around. I actually contacted Steve first.
Really?
And I asked him, hey, would you play a solo? I have Greg on it and Joe and he replied back really fast and he said, I'd love to, man, but I don't have the gear here right now, and I'm also getting ready for my own stuff. And I met Trevor in 2008 when I used to go to the Monday night jam session at the Baked Potato.
Oh yeah,
legendary jazz club in LA.
Yep.
And so I would go there basically every week. I actually was roommates with the drummer who was the drummer for the house band.
Wow.
and so I was there all the time, and Trevor would show up there every once in a while, and that's when I went short conversations. I was not expecting him to remember me, but that's how I knew about him. That's how I knew that he's as talented as he has his dad's talent and his genetics. So he's amazing. And so when Steve told me or Luke, as he goes by, told me I can't do it. So I was like, how about Trev? And he's like, great idea. Here's his email address. And so actually, the dad gave me the contact to the son, and that's how he ended up playing on the album. And if you listen to it, it sounds just like the dad, which it sounds almost a little bit like I'm turning him down, but it's like because it's the name Luca, that it just stands for such quality and just legendary musicianship. He definitely carries on the flame. I'm just stoked.
Nice.
We call Steve number 2 because I'm number 1. Just saying. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Just saying.
And then who's Steve? What number is Steve Vai?
No, because it hasn't been on our show yet, so
we're working on.
We'll get back to you on that. And then the other question I have, for all the influences you have, who influenced you to pick up the bass?
My brother.
Okay.
So I played guitar started playing guitar when I was 8. And then I bought an electric guitar when I was 10, and I was jamming on it, but I wasn't really like putting in like the energy and the effort and practice really hard. And then my brother someday when they brought home a bass guitar, and I picked it up and tried it. I was like, oh my god, I love this. This is awesome. And so he basically was the instigator of me playing bass.
Who was your bass player? Who was the guy who blew it up your skirt? Who just said, "That's it"? Was it
Billy Sheehan?
Who?
Billy Sheehan.
Nice.
Sheehan?
Yeah.
Of course. He has been my big influence ever since I started playing bass. Because then just around that time, it was like 84, 85 is when I started playing bass, and that's when Eat 'em and Smile came out, David Lee Roth solo album with Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, and Greg Bissonette. And that was when I was basically, I was like, I want to know what this guy does. So I really studied it and soaked it all in, modified my bass based on his bass. Like I scalloped the top fret, the high frets, and just bolted the guitar strap, just skipped the strap pins, just a big washer and the screw and all that stuff. Detuner for the low E string. And so he's been my big influence, especially on bass. But then there was also John Entwistle from The Who, Geddy Lee from Rush. I do play fretless, so Jocko, of course. Stu
Well, I'm going to educate you a little bit. We're going to a segment coming up soon. I'm really going to, see how naked we can get you. Wink, wink.
Yeah, no worries, Bobby. That's coming up actually quicker than you might think. I just have a couple of things on my end that I want to hit up Martin with a little bit right quick. First of all, Martin, one of the when you were doing your tours with Uli, were you touring with him in 2013, like early 2013?
Not in 2013. I was doing 2009, 2010, and 2012.
Oh, so I just missed you because early 2013 was the one and only time that I saw Uli on tour.
Yeah.
So I was trying to remember if you were with him at the time.
That was probably the amazing Elliot Rubinson, who's unfortunately already passed away.
Yeah.
It's such a sweetheart, amazing bass player. He was actually the founder of Thunderbird Music
Yes.
in Florida, and then he bought D drums and Dean guitars, and he's basically who brought Dean guitars back on the map. Fantastic businessman, but also just a sweetheart of a person. and so he got the guitars to Michael Schenker, to Uli John Roth, to so many amazing metal guitar players, and then he also played bass with Uli, and I did actually a double tour with him, or basically we shared the bass chair for a while in 2009, I think, which was a lot of fun. And but that's probably who you saw.
Gotcha.
Where did you see him?
So it was in White Marsh, Maryland, which is actually only about 2 minutes from my house. It's a now dead club that was called House of Rock at the time.
Got it.
Just small kind of hole in the wall, like dive bar, but a nice area for concerts, nice stage. Really, really big into that genre. I mean, I saw Uli there. I saw, Brett Michaels there, Stephen Piercy, the Bullet Boys. Jeff Tate on his first ever solo tour, Tom Kiefer on his first solo tour. Like, they love that style and stuff like that. But yeah, I went and I saw Uli, and I went to his little meet and greet afterwards and stuff like that. And he signed my Virgin Killer record and stuff like that.
Which one?
Not the good one, because I don't have the good one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it.
Really? Okay.
We'll find it eventually, but it's just the one everybody's familiar with everybody in the band, and Uli's kind of like leaning forward in the picture.
Yeah.
I will find the Virgin Killer album at some point.
I'll see if I can find it in Germany.
Oh, that'd be awesome, dude, for sure. And another thing I wanted to ask you about is because, like, I love, like, me personally with my taste, I love a lot of, like, gothy and industrial type music and stuff. So I wanted to take you back in the TMS time machine, because you were in a band called Icebreaker back in the day. Yep. That was like very, like, I think you even mentioned it on your page one time as a very kind of like, if you're into like Rammstein, you're going to enjoy this band.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from what I understood from like a story I heard you tell once, is that you had just departed the band when they got signed to Sony. Was there talk of getting signed before you left? Like, can you just talk a little bit about, what was going on at that time and your time with the band?
I don't know if they were talking at that point already, but I don't think it would have changed my decision, because at that time I was living in Munich for like 6 years, and I thought moving, because I'm from a fairly small city in southwest Germany, about an hour south of Frankfurt, and I always wanted to find like a bigger city where I thought there were more opportunities. I always wanted to get into the studio scene. I knew about Munich having some amazing recording studios, and that's why I moved there. But it was hard to get into that scene, because Munich in general is very cliquey. The Bavarian people are very, like, if you're not from there, it's going to take you a long time to win their trust. And I just didn't have the patience. But I did play in different bands, and then one of them, for instance, was Icebreaker, which was a lot of fun. It was amazing. It was actually at that time definitely like one of the biggest. That was like, oh, this is how it feels like to be in a professional band. We did a couple of tours, and it came with all the bus and the whole tour life, basically. And but I was at that. It was like towards the end of 2007. I was like kind of starting to like, am I wasting my time here trying to pursue something that doesn't really that might not happen? So at that point, I was contemplating either moving to a different city in Germany, which also have a reputation to be like open-minded and have opportunities for musicians, like Berlin or Hamburg or Cologne, or do what I always wanted to do and say, you know what, let's just give it a shot and go to LA, because that was always my big dream, to just give it a shot in the United States. And so I didn't really talk to them about that because I was a band member, but from my role, I was more okay, I'm the bass player.
Sure.
So it would tell you when the tours, when the gigs are, when the rehearsals are. But I wasn't really involved in the songwriting process, in the production, and definitely not in like business decisions, which is cool. I mean, that was the setup it was, and it's totally cool. I'm fine with that. And so I started going to LA. I went to LA for 3 months at first on a tourist visa just to check if I even have a chance. And that's when I met Chris Slade and Bass Nabs and got in that band. I was like, oh, something's happening. So
Nice.
definitely the right step.
Oh,
But that was when we were talking. I was still in touch with the band. I was like, so if you have a gig, I can fly. I can still do the gigs. But it showed itself really quickly that it was just not feasible to do it. And that's when we said, you know what, just let's part ways as friends. It was awesome. And then funny enough, it was like 2 nights or so before I got the definite call that I was going to join Accept. 12 years later, that Alex, the singer from Icebreaker, sends me a message and say, hey man, I just wanted to let you know that I've been following what you're doing. He didn't know anything about Accept, right? Just out of nowhere, it's like, I've been following what you're doing. I'm really proud of how you're following your dream. And I was like, wow. That's really nice of him to say that, and also the timing couldn't have been better. So it was amazing. But yeah, check out Icebreaker, and yeah, and it's true. They got signed with Sony right after. They went on tour with Alice Cooper. I kind of made a joke about it, saying, "I hope this has nothing to do with me leaving."
Oh, jeez.
I wish them all the best. They just came out with another album, and I just hope they just keep on doing what they're doing. I love it, and I hope to see them again in person and just give them a big hug.
Yeah, no, they're definitely a super cool band, and I remember when you were a part of that band, and I just always found them really interesting because, again, I like that industrial sound music. I mean, I'm into Rammstein, I'm into Marilyn Manson, I'm into the Jenna Torturers and stuff like that. So like I love that kind of stuff. But knowing what I know about you now, like, from meeting you in Nashville and then you and I just kind of talking, before on and off before this current interview happened, like I was like, yeah, that's a really interesting band for you to be a part of based on like your influences of being kind of like an 80s, David Lee Roth, Billy Sheehan kind of guy. So I think that's really, interesting to have that stint in like a heavy industrial band.
Yeah. I just love playing different styles of music, and people sometimes get a perception of a person.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's just that guy. Mm-hmm. When in reality, I think most musicians are really flexible in so many ways. I mean, you could hire. Steve Vai can play anything. It's just the first name in my mind is you can hire him for a jazz band. Of course you can. But even like, I don't know, let's say CC DeVille, he'd be probably also amazing on a jazz gig or R&B or whatever, because you just have to reach a certain level of musicality to play in a band like that.
Very, very true. No, absolutely, man. It's super duper cool. But hey, we're definitely stoked about everything that you've got going on right now, for sure, man. So Bobby, I'm going to bring you in as part of this segment with me. I'm just going to kick something off because having Martin on the show right now is super duper fun to have a bass player on the show where I get to show off my new toy that I just bought. Because the thing that's really funny that had me laughing.
Double D's? How many double D's?
Well, not so much in the way of double D's, but the thing that's really funny about this is I was laughing to myself.
Double D's are batteries. They're not brass.
Oh, no, I know that. For me, they're both. For me, it's both.
You got to let Angel know that.
Absolutely. But Martin was talking about, like, playing the guitar and, like, playing the bass and, like, how the frets are and how you want to make sure that you make your money on these frets. Well, I just picked up a fretless bass.
Holy cow!
Because I didn't have one, and I love buying like stuff I don't have.
We were just talking about Dean guitars,
and we were just talking about Dean, but bought
That's
this
very,
guy.
very pretty.
And there's the pack right here
Yeah.
for the battery to go in since it's fretless.
Right.
Wait a second.
But
If we're gonna go fretless, and I got Martin on here, who did we just talk to? I live in Pennsylvania, so who would be the guy fretless that would make you moist?
That's not a bad way to go.
Very nice.
Yep. But yeah, so yeah.
Little Jocko.
Yeah.
Jocko. Yep.
Oh, come on. You got to love the man. Weather report, everything he's done from the chicken to, I don't care if you're a metalhead or what, but there's nobody going to be like Jaco Pastore.
No. Portrait of Tracy or
Oh my
Ferdinand.
God.
Yeah.
The shit he did with Joni Mitchell, and it's really, it's there'll never be another Jocko.
Nope. Not a chance whatsoever. So, Bobby, before you take over this segment for that beloved section that we like, let's start it off real quick with Martin. Martin, why don't you tell us about your gear, bro? What do you play?
Well, this is my main work instrument here right now.
Nice.
Which is
wow, that's a sexy and unique headstock.
Right, yeah. So I've had this bass for 15 years now.
Oh, 5-string.
It's made by my friend Jens Ritter, and this has been my main workhorse for ever since I got it in 2004, and it's traveled with me all over the world and up in. That's basically the bass I'm mostly using on those recording gigs that I get, and I have the same model also as a fretless, and also as a 6-string, and those were my main instruments for the longest time until I moved to Nashville. And when you go into a studio in Nashville, things have to happen really fast. You have to go in there.
Yeah.
And they have no time to waste. And so when you come up with something that's a little bit more exotic, like this instrument, the sound engineer starts looking at you weirdly already, because they're like, oh, how is that going to sound? So they really like it when you show up with an FSO. That's a term that a friend of mine taught me. It's short for a fender-shaped object.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to show up with something that either looks like a precision or a jazz bass.
They don't want to see a bent penis. They want to see one that's 8 inches straight out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They know how to handle it. It fits.
And it's funny too, because the bass that you've got right there, that really unique fin on it, actually does remind me a little bit of Uli's trademark guitar, with just kind of that unique design to it.
Is it because it's bent and unsheathed?
No, Bobby.
Sorry.
No, he also has this very asymmetrical teardrop shape, because he goes like really high. He has like a lot of frets. He has way more frets on his guitar than regular guitars. Like his frets go up to the 36th fret instead of like 21 or 22 or 24, which is like usually the maximum you get. So
what about rig wise? What are you using, Martin? For amp wise, with everybody going downscale and everybody going solid state right now. So what are you using?
Right. I've been working with Gallien Kruger for the last 15 years. So whenever I use a rig live, it's GK, which is awesome. I mean, there's so many brands out there, and it's really hard to say, okay, one's better than the other.
Yeah.
But GK is really reliable. They've also helped me, especially when I moved to the States. And I said, well, I'm here now. Basically, I have nothing. They helped me out with the rigs. I have something to play with. And they're really great guys. In the meantime, I translated all their manuals into German. So there was that kind of a collaboration. And they're just really amazing guys. And if there's any problems, they help you personally. That's still a small enough company.
Excuse me.
If you have issues with your rig, you can just approach them and they'll help you. with Accept, I mostly just go straight into the PA. So I go out of my base into my wireless and then just straight into the house. We all have downscaled it because we fly so much.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to log all your rig around. And that's another story when I say I exclusively played Ritter until I moved to Nashville, because two things happened in Nashville. First of all, I started playing in studios. And then second, I basically got the job that Peter left behind. And there's a certain visual that people expect from the band Accept, and that is having a P bass on stage.
Of course.
Sure.
But luckily, just around the same time, Hans-Peter Wilfer, who is the owner of Warwick basses and Framus guitars, which is what Wolf plays, he started producing Sadowski basses. Roger Sadowski is a famous boutique bass luthier in New York City, and they started collaborating. And so Framus guitars basically started building Sadowski basses, and that's what I'm playing now with Accept. So I have this P bass that looks like a P bass, but it's a Sadowski, and I'm just really thrilled. It has that Peter Baltus really edgy metal sound, and I'm just really happy. I know it's weird to play like two different brands, because usually as an artist you usually endorse one company and then you cannot endorse another. But Jens Ritter understands that okay, this is just not what he builds. He builds these custom big instruments, and I mean, he builds guitars now too, and he just made one for Lady Gaga. He built one for Phil Lesh, where I'm actually Grateful Dead, where I was actually involved in the development of that instrument. Sammy Hagar has one, so he builds them for all kinds of people all over the world. But his instruments are more unique, boutique, and the Sadowski is what I play when I need something just traditional. The middle, I don't want to say middle of the road, because just still exquisite instruments, but what people would expect to see.
For sure, definitely. And because also one thing I've noticed, because you've been posting a few pictures about it lately on your Facebook and social medias, is that you seem to really get down into, like, fixing up your basses and working like the electronics and stuff like that. As like, unless they were like something else that you were working on, because I know you've got an Accept bass that lights up where the logo lights up red. But just something I noticed in like a couple of like your posts, like, do you like to tinker with the electronics of your basses a little bit, or kind of like?
I do, yeah. It's something I've always liked doing, and it's so funny because I never thought I do a lot of stuff myself, and I don't always think of, well, that's not really. Why should I post about this? It's just you just do the things that need to be done to get going. But then I was like, oh, let me just snap a picture and post it. But yeah, I like doing that. And the thing with the Accept logo lighting up, that was actually a fun project. And I had a lot of time during the pandemic, obviously. So I was at home a lot. And that's when I had the idea, okay, how could we, first of all, I wanted to have a mirrored pickguard for that bass. And that bass, that Sadowski bass, even though it looks like a traditional P bass, Roger Sadowski made some minor modifications so that it fits a little bit better. The body shape is just a little bit different, but that means you cannot just take a standard pickguard and slap that on there. It's not going to fit. So I had to actually trace the one that came with it. And then a good friend of mine has a laser cutter. So he took a piece of acrylic mirror and cut out that pickguard. And then he was like, well, I can etch the Accept logo into that. I'm like, well, do that. And so basically, then I got it, and it was translucent. I was like, you know what? It'd be cool if I could make that light up. And then I was thinking, how could I get it lit up? And then I went on Amazon and I saw those face masks, and they have them now that you can charge them up with USB, and then they light up in different colors. And I was like, I could take that apart and put it underneath that pickguard and use that to illuminate the logo. And that's what I did.
Oh, that's cool. That's really, really rad. But
I love tinkering, yes.
Oh, totally. But I know what you mean about playing like different basses and stuff like that. Because my ride or die bass for years is a bass that I call Lizzie. That's actually a silver tone, but I love it. I mean, it sounds great. Basic mechanics, only two knobs, and it's
Yeah.
always just been my go-to forever. But then I also have a Dean Spire that I love for like metal gigs that if I really need to get nasty, because it's got like 5 knobs on it, so I can really like rock the sound. I can put up like, everything from like I can really put up the trebles if I need to, or I can lower them down if I don't want them to be so like forward and stuff like that.
Right.
So I know what you mean about having like a couple different companies, because I've never really gotten to the level where somebody's like wanted to like take me on with their company. But my good TMS brother did put me into contact with Lauren from Little Caesar when we
Yes.
were covering M3, because he works with Spectre.
Yeah.
And,
Spectre, and he
What a
works with
Black Star.
Black Star amps.
Yeah, Black Star amps and stuff like that. So yeah, Bobby, I should reach out to Lauren actually and do a follow-up there. But speaking of that, let's keep it with gear, because I also, Bobby, we do need to bring Steve and Angel back into it. But let's kick it over to that. So let's hold off on the wood segment till our very next one, because Angel, let's kick it over to the Metal Summoners, and Steve, let's follow it up.
Cool, definitely. I've posted the tour dates for 2022, so they're right down below. Check them out. They're coming to Germany, Poland, Russia. Wow, I looked at the tour dates, and I'm like, rock and roll is back. It's just good to see bands being able to go out, tour, kick ass, give people a good fucking time for 2 hours. So thank you.
Quick, Martin, where's your fucking hair? Those pictures online are so old. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that was a thing that I did last year. I was kind of like, I came across this organization that's called Hair We Share, which provides, which makes wigs for people who have medically induced hair loss. And so I thought, you know what, I'm really lucky, a knock on wood, health wise, and so I was like,
oh, sorry,
I should do something. So I supported that cause, and so donated my hair. Started a little fundraising to help somebody to at least not have to deal with medically induced hair loss while they're going through different times.
Congratulations. I wanted you to bring that up, and thank you. You're a rock star and a half on that, man. We love it.
And it's actually really nice. It's liberating, not always get.
Yeah, because you can go in, you can shit, shower, and shave in 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Angel, reel us back on point, buddy.
Hey, there's benefits to with long hair too. Like in the wintertime, helps keep you warm.
True.
See, like me and Jay, we can relate to that.
Right, but in the summertime, it gets like really, really warm in the neck.
Yeah, it does. I hate sweating back there.
Or you can do drag.
You can do it.
Or a man bun.
Wow.
Oh, we got to make Angel drink.
Yeah, I can do it. Okay.
Oh,
Whew.
I like man buns.
I'm sure.
Speaking of touring, we got Susan. She has a question.
I see the question. I haven't ever played in Canada. If you have, I played only once. That was in Toronto, and that was with Uli John Roth at the Rock Pile.
Very cool.
That's a club outside of Toronto.
Yeah.
And interesting story. That actually was a really interesting story, and that was just around the time when I think it was 2012 when Van Halen was gonna release their new album, A Different Kind of Truth.
Yeah.
And there was a promoter, and he was like backstage, and he was like he's promoting the new Van Halen album, but then he had burned copies of the CD with Sharpie written on there, Van Halen, A Different Kind of Truth, 2012, and he was kind of like handing it out, and I was like, is this how you promote the album. This is weird.
Huh.
So I was very confused, and I remember that happening there, and I was like, okay, that is strange. That happened there, and the other thing that was interesting was that venue was actually too small for Uli, so we could have actually sold out that venue twice, and
Wow.
it was kind of like strange, and we were like, no, just one gig, and off we go. And we were supposed to play Montreal the day after, but we were touring in January. Again, like who books a tour in Canada in January?
Oh,
So that's how we ended up there. And then we had to cancel that tour, and so we made it down to. Next thing was I think played in New York City at BB King's with Leslie West. He was one of our guest musicians.
love Leslie.
Leslie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was also amazing. He was one of the first musicians I ever saw live. My first concert was Deep Purple, 1985, when they just reunited,
Wow.
and Mountain was one of the opening acts.
With Mountain.
Oh,
right?
wow. So that was the Perfect Stranger tour. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
I mean,
And I had a similar experience as you had, Bobby, when he was like, Ian Gillan had long hair on the album cover, but in live he has short hair. And I was like, I don't know.
yeah. But, you know, it's you're never going to be able to recreate those sound. And as soon as you brought up Purple's, Perfect Strangers, I'm like, oh my God, that shit just flashes to my head.
Yeah, it was so for my musical development. I was 10 or 11 when that came
Wow.
out, and my brother's a few years older, so he was so rock pile. I was so influenced by him, and all my musical development basically came from him. Because otherwise, I probably would have been into different bands. I might have even gotten into grunge and that kind of stuff. But I was so conditioned from the '80s that I was like, no, that's the music I love.
Nice. It's actually kind of funny, Martin, because based on what Bobby said, like Rockin' Pod probably threw some curveballs to some of your other interviews, because your press photos for Rockin' Pod were you with long hair.
Right.
Like I had seen you at M3, so I knew what you were going to look like. But I just got to thinking about that when Bobby brought it up. I was like, you know what? There were probably some interviews that he did at M3 where they were like looking for him, and then he walked right up to the table.
Right. And who are you?
Angel, right back to you, bud.
Okay, just as when it comes to doing the set list, how do you guys come up with the set list, especially now with you guys actually doing songs from the new album that came out? So how do you guys debate, throw chairs over what songs go on the set list?
We played a few shows already, and so we already kind of decided on a few songs that we want to have in the set as staples. But we definitely learn or prepare more songs that we're gonna need in one night, because we want to mix it up.
Right.
So so we definitely want to play quite a few songs from the new album. But then there's the classics that people just want to hear. But then also, Accept has such an extensive catalog. Even I don't know all the songs yet.
Wow.
Or know how to play them, at least.
Yeah.
So I definitely need to have like a 30, 40 song list. I was like, okay, this is the stuff that might happen, that we might play. So have them ready. And it's no big secret that Wolf is basically the ultimate decider. But he's very open-minded to suggestions, and we try different songs as well. We might try something out. It's like, yeah, this doesn't really work, or sometimes like, you know what? Let's just try it. Let's see how it goes over. Within the 2-hour set, you can take a chance of like, does the song work or not? But I mean, most of the songs Wolf knows from the decades of playing what goes over well. But we'll definitely have a good selection of songs, and we will mix it up.
Nice.
How did you end up getting Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons on the tour? Was that like a promoter, or you guys kind of suggesting, "Hey, let's get these guys out on tour with us"?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not involved in that process of how we got it. But what's funny is right after I had moved to LA, I went to this weekly jam session by a guy who's putting them on. He goes by Happening Harry, and he had these basically 2 sessions a week. One was at the I forgot where it is, somewhere in Beverly Hills. The other one is at the Cat Club, it's like a little club on the Strip. And he would have different people come in, like Dizzy Reed, keyboard player for Guns N' Roses. He would come and play. He's good friends with Billy Sheehan. Billy would jam there every once in a while. As I said, that was like in 2008 when everybody was still living in LA.
Mm.
And then one night I would go there to meet people. Basically, I'm new in town, and this is a way to introduce myself and meet the guys who are there. And then one night, Phil Campbell is one of the guys who sat in and jammed with us. And I didn't really talk to him because I was starstruck. I was new in town. It's like, and there's the guy from Motorhead. So I thought. But I have a photo, so I'm really looking forward to it when you go on the road. It's like I can tell him, hey, you and I jammed together 12 years ago in LA, and I'm going to show him the pictures. I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome.
Very cool.
And got a cool question from Candy Burton. She wants to know what's your favorite and least favorite Accept song to play live.
There's no least favorite. They're just all awesome. It depends on the evening. I really like Breaker because it's got such great energy, and it's just all pedal to the metal, just full force. The classics are always awesome, and of course the audience participation on balls is just, it gives you the goosebumps every night. So when you sometimes think, I used to think that, I was like, how does it feel to play the same song for 40 years every night? But every night you get such an amazing feedback from the audience that you're like, oh, I can see why you want to do this every night.
Yeah.
It's the audience.
It's the audience, yeah.
It really is. If they're loving the song, why are you going to deprive them of what they came to hear?
Exactly.
Right. And they're just standing like this without any reaction.
I mean,
Like science class.
Look at Kiss doing rock and roll all night for how many years? And I heard Gene and Paul both say, look, it's that thing that gives you morning wood. When you see 80,000 plus people singing it back to you, that's why you play it.
Exactly. That's where you get your energy. And a couple of weeks ago, I saw the Stones live in Nashville at Nissan Stadium, and I never saw them, and I was like, this is something I should definitely see live. And I'm so glad I went. And then so the last song is always Satisfaction, and I thought the same thing, like, because I played Satisfaction too, like a million times in different covers.
You're not Mick and Ronnie and Keith.
Exactly. I'm not the guys who wrote it, and it's completely different when it's your own song and you go out there and it's like, oh yeah, this is still digging it.
And Keith playing so fucking sloppy and wrong and it's.
But it works though.
Oh.
And that was the thing. I was having that conversation with the buddy of mine who actually went to see the show with Bill Franco, great guitar player in Nashville. And when I went to see the show, and we had the same conversation on the drive home. It was like, I don't want to step on his feet. I said that, I was like, yeah, but Keith Richards is kind of sloppy. He's like,
But he's the
But it's
best fucking
he said that
guitar player.
it's an art form to be that.
Oh, you can't play like that. You can't teach yourself to play shitty and just kick ass.
Right, and it's like it just adds that element of just what it needs. You can't even describe it, but it's like it's fucking Keith Richards, man.
Exactly. It's actually kind of funny, Martin. I was watching your live video when they were playing Painted Black.
Yeah. I was live streaming it, because I was like, the world needs to see this.
Yep, I was watching that because that's also always been my favorite Stone song. So I was
Right.
like, oh my God, he's live streaming Painted Black. I got to watch this. This is fantastic.
And it's that thing when you hear the Stones. Look, there are Beatles fans, there are Stones fans, and everybody could say whatever they want. But you just take it in and you just go, wow. You know, they embrace what music's all about.
Yeah, and I never understood that sort of rivalry. And in Germany, funny enough, like at least where I grew up, we didn't even have that rivalry. It was more like, are you into the Beatles or Elvis? That was like more what I was used to. But even then, I mean, I was more into the Beatles than Elvis. But I was not like, fuck Elvis. It was more like, no, I just couldn't really relate to him as much. So, but the comparison between Beatles and Stones, I didn't really know that until I moved to the States. And I was like, oh, really? That was a thing? Interesting. Because they're so different. And they cater to they just cover two completely different areas musically. In both in a legendary way.
Absolutely, 100%. So, fans, I do want to let you guys know we still got Martin for a little bit more time, but we do want to make sure that we respect his time for the evening. So it is last call for alcohol, guys. Get your final questions and comments into the chat, into the comments, so that way we can get your questions right up on the screen and get them answered for you for sure. So it is last call for alcohol, friends. The real Psycho Steve, it is all you, sir.
Okay, so the question is, you mentioned about your influences of yesterday. Who do you listening to now? Like, is there a band that you listen to that's an up and coming, or that's a new artist or new-ish artist that you just like, wow?
That's a really good question. For a while, I noticed that I don't really listen to music a lot. And because I was like, that's not very cool. But before I joined Accept, I was working as a bass player at the show band for Carnival Cruise Line for 4 years. A band's got to eat, and that's a way for a musician to make a decent living. And it was good. You play every night. You really keep your chops up. You learn so many different styles, from 80s to Motown, jazz, R&B, country. It really opens your mind, especially since I'm also a studio musician. It really helps me to expand my language in every area. But because I had to learn so many songs, I kind of got tired of listening to music for entertainment purposes. So there's a lot of time where I don't even have anything going at all. But I got back into like listening more, and I know I'm still so behind the curve, but what I do sometimes is now just trust Apple Music and just go, what's new now, and just give me some new inspiration. What I hear, I do love the Foo Fighters.
Love Foos.
Yeah, that's another band I want to see live, and I have huge respect for Dave Grohl, what he put together, and the same thing is like he's one of the biggest.
Not to interject right now, but listen to his new book that came out. If anybody wants to hear something that'll kick their ass across the room, go on to Audible, Dave's book. Hearing him read it,
good idea. That's something I'll do when we're on tour, because there's a lot of time to kill on that bus. Good idea. And then just was like trying to, because I have not really caught them when they came out, but bands like Disturbed, Avenged Sevenfold, Five Finger Death Punch, just to kind of also get used to the modern sound. And I know it's not that much; it's been around for a while, but that's how long I've neglected really staying on top of things, and I really enjoy that, to kind of like catch up and hear what has been out there, what is out there. But then there's also a lot of other stuff that I like. I mean, if you go on YouTube, you see that I transcribed like all 4 albums for Sarah Bareilles, which is like this really amazingly
Wow.
talented piano singer-songwriter,
Yeah.
who's like so amazingly talented. And that's just, I'm all about keeping your mind open musically, because everything is just we're all artists, and there's beauty in art. Whether it touches you or not is up to you.
Yeah.
But you just cannot discount good music, no matter what style.
All right. Very cool.
All right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Absolutely. 100%. All right, Bobby, it is going to be your time to shine, bro. So we are going to kick this over to our fun little segment that we do with guitar players and bass players that is called How Well Do You Know Your Wood? So, Bobby, take it away.
But we tickled your fancy on one. We tickled your fancy on the Mr.
Right.
Look,
Mr. Pastorius.
Bottom line, I started off as a guitar player, but I love bass.
Haven't we all?
Something about it. So, not just loving bass, I started collecting my heroes' basses and people that influenced me. So I'm going to go, Martin, how good do you know your wood, buddy?
Well, I play with it every day.
Oh, so
Hello.
This would be a nice little Fender P.
Yeah. So what do you want to know? Who is it?
This, I would say he would be green with envy on a good day. Wink, wink.
Okay. Otherwise, I would have said Dusty from ZZ Top.
No, green with envy on a good day. Green day.
I'm trying to think of the name of the bass player.
Mike.
I don't have it.
Little
Green
Mike
Day.
Yep. Mike Dern.
Mike Dern. Darn.
So then we're gonna go like this. If you walked in a jungle,
Duff McKagan.
little Duffy. Then we're gonna. If you don't know this, I'm taking your fucking card away.
Yeah, you have to turn it around. Yeah, you're holding it wrong.
That's not a first.
Wait a second, but what year is it?
I would say it 2012.
64.
Is it really?
Yes.
Wow.
This thing's got more, look, it's like my wood. It hasn't been touched since 64. Now if you're 71 and you can still sing like this fucker, then you know whose this is. Oh, because
he's also known for playing a 12-string.
Yes. And
Doug Pinnick?
Yes, it's a little Dougie.
I was supposed to see him tonight.
Were you?
Yes. They were supposed to play in Nashville tonight, and they postponed again for the second time. Yeah.
Now this is kind of funny. This is a twofer. So this was owned by this is 12-string.
Yeah.
Which was owned by a guy who was on our show, but it was another guy who's, kind of an expensive joke.
Oh my God.
It's bad.
or a cheap trick.
Oh, okay. Got it.
No, this was Chip's.
Chips, okay. Awesome. It was actually his?
No, it was Tom's, but he gave it to Chip.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Holy shit, that's a museum you have there. I'm amazed.
Sure.
and then if
What happens when you have no children? Those are his children.
Oh, yeah.
you know, well, look, I swallow my children.
Oh, Jesus, Bobby.
Oh boy.
What? I didn't say anything wrong.
Right.
So
He used to
look,
do it.
now
It's
if I go with
like Steve went, he left. He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
Steve,
no.
come on.
Joey, Marky, you know, if I go that route, if I go CBGBs, who would you go with on this?
well, my first thought was
Hey ho, let's
Steve
go.
Harris, but
Hey ho, let's go. We're gonna
Sex
take your punk card away.
sorry, yeah, I know. Sex Pistols.
No.
Little Ramones.
Stones.
Oh, I was thinking Sting.
Stones, that can't be done.
That was going to be my answer, Sting,
Yeah.
because he
that-
also kind of did punk back with the Police,
Yeah, no, that one's DD.
So
and
so
he did.
So you mentioned a guy who you played with. So this would be if you had a borscht or whatever, but we would call it here in the States a stew.
With ham?
Yes, with some ham.
I can see the low cutaway. He usually has a little bit more room for his left hand
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because he's all the way up there.
Now, black guy who
Wow.
lives in Nashville, which you would know. Marcus?
Oh, Marcus Miller.
Of course.
Very good. I just watched a video of his just 2 days ago on YouTube. He's been interviewed. That was Marcus Miller. I didn't know he had a Sunburst model too.
Yeah, it's a sire. Okay, so, you know, look, I love grabbing a lot of wood, but this is too much fucking wood for me.
Too big, too much girth.
Too
Yeah,
much
little 6-string here. So, you know,
That could be confused for like a
you know,
guitar.
but that's why he's a Jesus freak. But you know, we won't get into it. But it's
Well,
a
I would
little,
say John Myung.
no, it's John.
John Patitucci.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So we'll go with that one. Ah,
If you ever need a bass and you're in Philadelphia,
yes. If you ever need a bass, now, if you don't know how to walk this fucking way, then get out of the road.
Steve Hamilton. Joe Hamilton.
Tom.
damn, I like that color. That's
Yeah, it's definitely a cool color.
yeah.
All right, Bobby, let's do one more, buddy.
Three more.
Okay.
You're really trying to embarrass me here. I already embarrassed myself.
Okay.
Well,
No, you did good, man.
right. I mean, you're in a hotel. So.
Martin, how hot was your teacher?
Awesome. You got the chili peppers and the fretboard.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, but he's done for the Jack Daniels one, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when we think about like Anthony, we think about the Jack Daniels bass.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. I just know this model because it's like
Now this one should be
self-explanatory. So,
well, baby, are you amazed?
or Chris Squire.
Baby, are you amazed? Maybe I'm amazed. What about if you flew on a jet?
Did Paul play that?
Yeah, it's a Paul. Can't you tell by the headstock? It's reversed.
Oh, you just taught me something. I never paid attention to that.
You didn't know that? Ah. Well, and
Wow.
Last one.
Fascinating.
Last one. 1996. The last time the guy who played on one of your albums played with this band, but the bass player.
Unplugged album. Kiss, Gene Simmons.
So when you come to PA, I got more fucking basses here for you to play.
I can tell. I should come just for that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Ooh, you make me sweat right now. I really try not to embarrass myself.
You're gonna be like, oh fuck, really?
You did really good, brother.
Yeah, that was great. No, I love. Look, I can't thank you enough, and all of us enough for coming on tonight, and just everything you're doing is incredible. I want everybody to go to your website, pick up your albums, support you. And also, if they need a bass player, how can they get in contact with you for their projects?
Well, I think the best way to do it is just go through either studiobasis.com, the website, or luckily my name is so unique. So if you just punch it into any social media or Google, you'll find my contact. And
So a porn site's not going to pop up if they put your last name in and be like, oh.
might, maybe, I don't know.
That was how the bills got paid before the music really dropped.
Well, hey, look, we all had to,
Hey, do what you gotta
$20 is $20. No.
Exactly, for sure.
Oh, you're cheap.
Oh, nice. Before we kick it over to Angel and the fans to make sure we have any final questions, you had talked a little bit about Accept having a certain look when it came to the bass that you play when you're on stage with them. But another thing that was actually pretty cool that you posted was you and Wolf with actually someone I know in Kim Dilla who did stage clothes for you recently.
Yeah, Wolf got in touch with her and he proposed like I don't know how they talked about it, but it was like they're getting some stage clothes made, and I was like, I can use some, and that was really cool. And Kim did an amazing job, and the way she did it was just gorgeous. So I'm just really stoked and can't wait to wear it on stage. And it was funny because we communicated, but she really made it from scratch. So it's like she really tailors it from the start. And so my I'm not preachy about it, but I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. And so when she came with what she proposed as clothing, I was like, can we maybe replace the leather with like fox leather or fake leather? So that's like, I don't feel like guilty. And she's like, I could do that, but it's not going to last as long. Plus, the way how I operate is the way she operates is she goes into like secondhand stores and Goodwill, thrift stores, and that's where she gets like clothing that has already been worn, and then she takes those and basically makes it into new clothes. So basically, the leather jackets that she uses are like 20, 30 years old, and basically gives it a new life.
Yeah,
nice.
And so I was like, I could get behind that in my philosophy, so to speak. So I thought that was really cool that she's so aware of that and conscious about that. And also, I think it looks super cool. She was working with like the greatest of bands, so it's like just stoked to be part of that. And so I'm just really looking forward. So it's awesome that you know her. That she's a really cool chick, really great ideas, and yeah.
Yeah, no, she's super duper cool. I interviewed her a few years back with her band Fulton Avenue, which was the band that she got together with after her tenure with Guar was over. But she's always just been so super cool. She was actually here in Baltimore last week because she was Cradle of Filth was in town.
Yeah,
and she's been doing stuff for Danny and the guys for God knows how long.
Right,
like that. So she was in town for that. So that was very cool. But yeah, no, Kim's a sweetheart. We always want to wish her, best of luck with everything that she does, because she's kind of like you. She's got a lot of different projects. She's got her hands in a lot of different kinds of cookie jars.
Right. Yeah. That's a way to stay busy, and it keeps it interesting. But yeah, she's definitely gonna go far and make spread the word for her clothing because it just looks amazing. And
Oh, definitely, for sure. So, fans, before we cut Martin loose, Angel, let's kick it up to you, buddy. Do we have any final questions from the fans or a final question from yourself?
Yes, luckily, again, because we're connected to YouTube, our last question comes from a YouTuber,
Awesome.
Susan.
Hey,
Do you
Susan.
go back to Germany often?
luckily, yes. Luckily, I'm able to do that now. When I first moved to, that sounded like a beer. I like that. When I first moved to the States, it was a little bit difficult to travel back. It's far, it's expensive, and now luckily, like during the pandemic, I was able to go back twice and spend the time with my family, and also my brother is a sound engineer, um, and he helped me mixing and then mastering my album. So that was good to do that, sitting next to each other instead of doing it remotely. So, and my parents are still in Germany, so it's a good time to go there. And then also thanks to Accept, I'm able to go back and whenever I have the time. So I love going to Germany, but home is the United States. I really love living in this country. Um, I was able to fulfill the dreams that I probably would not have been able to do in Germany. Um, and so it's not gonna get political, but I think the American dream still exists, and I was able to follow it. And so I feel home in the States, but I also love going back to Germany, and I still have a strong connection. There's probably things in me that'll never not gonna be German.
Hey, Martin, real quick, what is your origin? What city in Germany are you originally from?
Well, the city where I'm from is called Ludwigshafen, which is in southwest Germany. I always say it's like about an hour south of Frankfurt. It's not too far from the French border, the wine country. If you drink Riesling, that's where it's from that area where I'm from.
That's a little sweet for me, you know.
I know,
Give me Jägermeister or something. You know, give me something dirty and dark.
Dirty and dark. I have a lot of thoughts right now that I cannot say. So that's where I'm from. But honestly, my family's history is actually from the former country of Yugoslavia. That's why my last name Monik is not a German name. It's a name from which is now Slovenia.
Yeah.
In southern Europe. It used to be, and my parents actually escaped communism, like actual Stalin communism. Not the way how the term is thrown around these days, but like really like the political suppression and like how a few people own everything and the large majority is poor. So they left the country to move to Germany for a better life, and I'm really thankful then that they did that because it helped me to get like a head start in life. So I know that the life I'm living, I'm extremely lucky. Just how I just started out, and I'm really grateful for the circumstances I was born into that were not in my control. I just tried to do the best.
Well, we just all want to thank you for you sharing your talent over all the years and your relationship with Wolf and with all of us who are fans of Accept and rock and roll, and we really appreciate everything you're doing. So
well,
thank you.
And thank you guys for. I mean, we talked about it in Nashville when we spoke face to face. Like a podcast is the new radio. Yeah. So what you guys do for bands and what you guys do for music is what keeps us alive and what keeps the word out. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. And come to PA, you can play some basses.
I will definitely do that. Absolutely.
Come to Baltimore.
Adam will bring you over. He's 10 minutes away from my house.
Awesome.
Come to Baltimore. You can play some too.
I'm just going to go to McKay and see you play live. That's my thing.
Absolutely. Angel, did we have anything final from the fans, brother?
Nope. Just reminding the fans, the tour kicks off January 15th, 2022 in Germany. So does that give you a chance to, with the tour kicking off in Germany, does that give you a chance to kind of go home to Germany in January, knowing that the tour is kicking off there?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna even be able to spend Christmas and New Year's with my family, which is gonna be great, and then just
Awesome.
stay there, wait for the band to catch up. We're probably gonna rehearse in Germany before we go on the road to just
Cool.
lose some tie up some loose ends, lose some tight ends, stuff like. And then let's hit the road. So I can't wait. I mean, I've been itching to do that for a year and a half, like we all have.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to believe it's really happening.
So with the situation with COVID, because we kind of have a theory in our own that because of COVID, bands will now they will want to do like a long tour. Like an example, a set would not mind being on the road for the whole 2022 because of the year and a half that you guys had where you wasn't on the road.
Right. We basically took the tour that was scheduled even before COVID was a thing. Whatever we're planning right now is was supposed to happen in 2021. Basically, same dates, just minus 1 year.
Okay.
So we basically just moved that up by a year. That's why that hasn't really changed, and we haven't really expanded on those dates because that's just that was the easiest way to do it. But we do have time in between that I know they're working on filling. Really hoping that we're going to be traveling to South America. We were supposed to go to Japan in December. That had been postponed a few times. Now it has been canceled because the situation in Japan, they just have the vaccinations now. They're unable to catch up as fast as it would have been required. So I kind of like a bummer because I haven't been to Japan yet. I was really looking forward to that too. So a lot is still in development, but I'm just staying optimistic right now, one thing at a time, do the tour, and better things are on the way, more better things.
Right on. Very, very cool. And Steve, anything final from yourself, my friend?
Do you drive a German car?
I do.
Cool. What
I
kind?
have a 2002 Mercedes.
Nice.
That just went over 158,000 miles.
Ah,
And
So-
so when you get across, which is 250,000 kilometers, and so Mercedes has this award program when you hit 250,000 kilometers and then 500,000 kilometers and 1,000,000 kilometers with your car, they send you a plaque and a certificate.
nice.
And I'm just about to get that.
Hey,
Right on. I
Martin.
was going to say over here they just give you a big bill because it's freaking
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh,
German here.
and
You get
radio.
that sooner than that.
Hey, Martin, before you go, really quick, none of us really touched on one thing. And look, me being a big Aerosmith guy, Jimmy Crispo, how did you get hooked up? And I really wanted to ask you about this. You and Jimmy, how did that relationship start about?
Well, Jimmy lives in Vegas, and I played in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for 6 years, and I was doing the same thing like that I've been doing, being a freelance bass player and then playing in different settings. And a friend of mine, a guy who I mentioned earlier, Peter Dallas, who I did the clinics with, drummer at Guitar Center, he's friends with Jimmy, and so we were in a band, and we needed a guitar player, and he said, "Hey, what if I asked Jimmy?" And I was like, "Okay, who's Jimmy?" I was like, "Jimmy Crespo." I'm like, "What?" And I was like, well, "What the hell?" And I
Wow.
was like, "Oh yeah, no, so he's there, and I can ask him." And then he ended up being available, doing the gig, and he's just one of the nicest guys.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to have conversations with him too, because again, he's like one of the guys that's been doing it forever. And I said, "So why do you do this?" And he goes, "You know, one secret to my success and to being able to feed myself making music is I never turned down a gig. If I was able to do it time wise, I would do it." And so when they asked him to play with us, he said yes. And so I played quite a few shows with him, and it's just every time he's such an amazing
Yeah.
he's like a gentle player, but it's just so he's got so much power in his tone. But then you watch him and his fingers barely move, and it's just what it's like.
Well, you think about it, to be asked to be part of, going from Joe Perry to, when Jimmy went into the band, but then with you playing, and not to be starstruck, but Jimmy is, I mean, that's a lot of big shoes, but Jimmy has his own feel, and I love the stuff he did with you.
Right. He definitely has his own tone, and I think that's the only way how you can fill a pair of shoes that like almost like too big to fill, because you have to. I don't know if that's a good picture to paint, but it's like you have to almost come up with your own shoes, because you cannot. The only way to succeed is be yourself, and I got that from an interview that they had with I think with John Lord back then, when they were talking about how was it when Steve Morse replaced Richie Blackmore, and how do you replace Richie Blackmore? And they said you can't. You don't. You just go in and be yourself. And so that's why Deep Purple is now with Steve Morse, and it's not somebody trying to emulate Richie Blackmore. And I think the same thing is what Jimmy did when he joined Aerosmith. It's like, okay, this is me now. And that's the only way how you approach it.
Yeah, because if you listen to Rock in a Hard Place, look, I never consider it Toys in the Attic. I don't consider it Night in the Ruts or anything in there, but it is very Jimmy. And the stuff you guys did was incredible. And I love that you brought up the whole thing with Steve Morris and, that end. Steve is Steve.
Yeah.
You can't change a guitar player, similar to bringing up Steve Vai, to be Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
Everybody has their you're from Germany. I wouldn't want you to sound like you're from North Jersey, like Steve with that damn bald head of his up there.
Well, I was kind of practicing a Southern drawl with living in Nashville, but I was like, just don't do it. Just be
Not with that accent, dude.
No, I can't.
But as long as you like hot chicken, we're cool.
Right.
He's a vegetarian, brother.
They have them as vegetarian too. Yeah, veggie chicken.
Fake hot chicken, whatever it is. But no, that's really cool. I love that you're very open, and we really appreciate you taking the time with us tonight.
Yeah, Martin.
I had a blast. Thank you.
Awesome, brother. And Martin, for anybody who wasn't able to participate in the Indiegogo, will you have CDs and vinyls available for purchase, like through your website?
Yes. So that's actually in the making right now. We're probably going to shoot photos next week. Scott Dioza, who's taking the photos for Accept, he volunteered to take my photos as well. So that's in the making. Talking to a vinyl factory. That the problem is right now that because all the factories that make vinyl records have closed down in the 90s, and now vinyl's making such a comeback, they just have their books so full, and so the waiting list is super long. So my album is going to be digitally released on November 10. That's when it comes out on Spotify and Apple Music, Amazon, all the Deezer, all the streaming websites, but physical copies will probably be available a little bit later. But yeah, I'll make sure I sign them. I'll be offering them on the website, and you guys get some too.
Awesome.
Great.
Well,
Thank you.
As soon as the physical copies are in, man, you will definitely get an order from me and stuff like that. So I gotta
All
put
of us.
so for all of us.
And
dude,
Steve,
so-
Jay, before we go, let's really promote anybody looking to do anything musically
Absolutely.
with you, Martin. Really will push you going to studiobasis.com, which I'm looking forward to using you. Look,
You have all this
a
awesome
lot of
bass.
people use me, but I'm so looking forward to using a bass player.
I'd love to.
Absolutely.
I'm ready.
And Martin, the one final thing, because you mentioned it in the interview early in the interview, but we didn't actually really touch base on it. You have a gig tomorrow. What are you doing?
So I am in Panama City Beach right now. Beautiful Florida coast town, Gulf of
Ah.
Mexico. And there's a big bike event called Thunder Beach. And I'm playing here with a band called Geneva. They've been around in the bike circle for 20 something years. They played Sturgis, they played Daytona Beach. And they were actually the first band that I played with when I had moved to Nashville. And so those guys are really dear to my heart. Really awesome guys. We play a mix between Geneva is the name of the band. We play a mix of originals. We play some classic rock covers. Yeah, we'll be here down in. So if anybody's here in Panama City Beach this weekend, we'll be playing here tomorrow night, and looking forward to it.
That's awesome, brother. Well, Martin, thanks a lot as well, man, again, for spending your evening with us. I mean, you and I will be in touch. We always are. And congratulations again on the new record, man. We're so happy for you. We're super duper stoked for everything that you've got going on. Congratulations on the big tour next year with Accept and finally getting back out onto the road, man. And we can't wait to have you back on for a 3-parter sometime in the future for your next project.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Metal Summoners. We love you guys so much as always. We really appreciate you supporting us, supporting Martin, and everything that we've got coming up. Guest announcement on Friday. Next episode, as always, next Wednesday night. Make sure you're hitting us up on all of our socials. Follow the Facebook Live, the Facebook page, and the YouTube page, since that's where we go live on. We are also on Instagram and TikTok, so make sure that you're following us there as well. But again, on behalf of Martin Monik from Accept, for Angel Alamo, for Psycho Steve Presta, for Bobby Dreyer, I'm Jay. Announcement on Friday. Next episode Wednesday. We will see you guys next week. Thank you. We love you. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.
Dun, dun, dun.